And I'm not smarter. I'm not stupider.
Beta tester equals team buy-in. If we can do it, so can you.
That's right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
This is exciting for me because I am not hosting this podcast.
I am.
I get to just sit back and be the commentary. I'm very excited to be the peanut gallery today. And it's going to be hard for me because I love this topic. Like if I won the lottery, I might proactively go to account managers' desks and torture them into cross-selling.
I think that if I won the lottery, I would literally be like, pay me commission to cross-sell your book of business.
That's a good one too. Like how does that work?
80% commission on all new business. I don't even need a salary.
If you guys are watching the video, I'm actually trying to position myself so you don't see the dirty laundry on the bed.
And I'm trying to position myself so you see the curl that's growing back as well as the plants in the back.
I told you have to have that curl back by IAOA, otherwise.
It's getting there. It's getting close. So today, hi, I'm Steven with Agency Performance Partners.
I'm Kelly from Agency Performance Partners.
So we're both from Agency Performance Partners, in case you didn't figure that part out already. And we're going to talk today about cross-selling during a renewal review.
But Steven, it's impossible to call people at renewal.
I can tell you that's a lie because I've done it.
Okay.
So you can call people at renewal. I mean, first myth busted. Next, you want to try a different one?
Mike, but Steven, how do you cross-sell on a renewal call? Because everyone just wants to get reshopped and everyone just cares about price. So there's no opportunity to cross-sell because we just have to get the price down.
Oh, we have to reshop everybody's renewal? Is that how we spend our whole day?
That's how we spend our whole day because everyone just cares about price.
Oh my, that's a very boring job. No, I mean, in all reality, cross-selling a renewal review, how about we stop the reshop? Stop the reshop.
Stop the reshop.
I said stop. Don't reshop. I mean, in all reality, I think a lot of times we're more passionate about the client's rate than the client is, or about what's happening. 87%, this is not a statistic, I'm making this all up, but I want to say 87% in my experience, 87% of the clients never call on their renewal. So when we call them, if we don't bring up price or an increase and just talk to them proactively about what's happening, it never gets talked about. I think we're more afraid of something changing for the client than the client is afraid of it changing.
Yeah, I also think there's like so much head trash, right? About delivering rate increases, talking about rate. Like there's a lot of scarcity mindset. Like I tell people all the time, the CEO of Starbucks ain't shy about charging $8 for a cup of coffee and thinking to himself, like, does that barista deliver? It's an $8 coffee. But for some reason, we're very, very nervous about price and insurance.
Well, and I think Starbucks too, as soon as you order your beverage, they're like, and what pastry would you like to go with that?
That's right. And they use my name, which I appreciate. And then they give my dog a puppuccino. So like, can't deny the fact that America does like a puppuccino.
I mean, I go to the same Starbucks every time. And I was like, hey, Steven. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the drive-thru. They just know me by voice.
They do.
Who knew?
That's
I think really impressing the customer, first of all, building that relationship and knowing your client, you can't do that without talking to them.
Yeah.
So by reaching out at the renewal and talking to them, facing the problem face on, or even just talking to them, puts them at ease. I mean, I know my agent calls me every year. Granted, I have lots of policies, so there's very little to cross-sell or upsell me on. But one of the carriers, my homeowner's carrier, came out with sewer line coverage and electrical line coverage, right? I had no clue. And she's like, just so you know, this is now offered. If you decline it, I'm putting a note in your file. Do you want it? And I'm like, okay, sure.
Give it to me. Well, and here's my thing on the cross-selling component, right? Sometimes the best way to get the rate down is to cross-sell. So if you have a lot of rate trepidation, the reality of the situation is you may want to cross-sell that policy. And getting extra lines, I feel like, is such a huge opportunity. But a couple things on the renewal, I think a lot of people don't know how to ask and they feel like they're of service. So the client asks them and that's what they do, right? And now we're going to say, ask somebody else. And can I give everybody my tip on cross-selling?
Let's do it.
I just want you to pick like one product, renters, home, auto, umbrella, flood, whatever it is. And I want you to make a commitment that the next 10 callers that need it, you're just going to get the words out of your mouth. It doesn't matter if it sounds pretty, ugly. You say, Kelly says, I have to ask you if you want to quote on your auto insurance. I don't care what it sounds like. Don't overthink it. But if you do it 10 times, by the 10th time, you're going to get a whole lot better at asking, and it's going to be a million times more comfortable. And you'll probably even get half those people to say yes.
Or make it even simpler. If it's monoline auto, ask them if they rent your own.
Yeah, that's it.
You rent your own.
I think we make it sound simple, but I get that mentality at the desk level where it's like that's salesy, and what if they say no? And I think another big thing about why we don't cross sell the way we should is most account managers have this time fear, right? Like, okay, if I ask them, they say yes, I have to quote it, I have to bind it, I have to service it. And oh my gosh, I haven't gone to the bathroom, and I've got 3 other calls and 2 emails in my inbox and 16 tasks. And I've got to get on a webinar later today. I don't have time to cross sell. And they get themselves so worked up about the time. And I always say, sweet pea, you're assuming that everybody you say yes you ask is going to say, absolutely, here's my policy. Can we do it right now? And that's not the case. A lot of times you're going to
plan. That's an amazing problem to have, though.
Yeah, well, good problems versus bad problems. But a lot of times you're going to plant a seed, and they're going to call you when they get that other renewal in. That's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. The other way to look at it is if I'm good enough to be their auto agent, why am I not good enough to be their home agent?
Oh my gosh.
Like, if I think I'm the best thing there ever has happened to auto, why can't I be the same for their other product?
Yeah. I like what you said about building rapport too, because I often feel like in the beginning, this is what I say, do it 10 times. It's like if you're trying to date someone or like ask girl, like just go up to 10 girls and ask them out. By the 10th time, you're going to get way better. You're probably going to hear no, like the first 6, because you're going to be like, want to go home with me? No. Okay. You just got one done. But by the 10th time you do anything, it's just going to get more and more comfortable. And I think that if someone asks them, right, to cross sell, can I quote, can you do home? We're more than happy to do it. It's the generation of that opportunity, I think, that gets really overwhelming for people.
The other thing to look at is how many agents are actually doing the renewal calls to begin with. And then when we go into agencies, and then when we go into agencies, it's like a foreign concept, right?
Oh, it's so foreign.
And if you're going to the agency that cares enough to get the training for the staff on, great customer service or whatever, how many agents or agencies just don't? If you're not offering the account review, asking for the other lines, somebody else might.
Yes. Or we get somebody's upset about something like the rate going up, and it's a harder ask to do during those times. That's it. Right. So why don't we ask just whenever for fun? So, Stephen, how did you coach your team into getting into cross-selling? Because I remember these days very vividly when it was like, first step is
dramatic.
You have to make the calls. Then we got them making the calls. And then a couple of them, by dumb luck, were surprised that they were cross-selling. It was like, I sold an umbrella.
We had one agent that was like, I'm like, just pick one product. Just choose one. I don't care. Just pick one. And she was like, I'm going to pick Inland Marine. And I'm like, okay, what's a commercial? It was a commercial agent. I'm like, okay. I'm like, so every call, ask them if they don't have Inland Marine, tell them something about it. She was like, okay. And the first week and a half was rough. It was like,
yeah, that's how it is.
I tried to force them to sell. I'm like, sell everybody cyber. Like, yeah, it's hot. It's new. Everybody needs cyber. And it was not good because they weren't passionate about it. But as soon as they picked the line, she was like, okay, I'm going to do in the marine and because if their tools get stolen or most people think it's covered and it's not, she literally, it was rough for the first week and a half till she started talking through it. And she listened to a couple of her calls to see what she was saying. And she was telling them to say no while she was trying to sell it.
I'm sure you don't want it, but if you did,
right. Like, there's this coverage available and you don't have it, so you probably don't want it. But once she got over that and she was like, hey, look, if your tools get stolen, there's no coverage under your policy. What are you going to do? And they were like, well, I need coverage for that. She goes, great. It's, $220 a year. How you want to pay for that? And she was writing 12 a month. And she's like, look at me, I'm writing business. And I'm like, yes, you're writing business and you're helping the client with the pain point and you're solidifying a relationship. You just provided value to a client that they didn't know was there.
My favorite thing in the world. Well, it's actually not really. It's actually sad, but it's like a moment that I'm always cherish is when I can get the account managers to outsell the sales team. And I'm like, what are you doing all day? And, like people have other jobs. They're out telling you that's a little bit of an issue here, don't you think? Like, but I remember your team just being on calls and they would have such a look of pride on their face too, of like, we do the, wins and lessons. And they'd be like, I quoted a flood policy. I don't think I've ever quoted a flood, but I did it. And they said yes. And it was like, they were like beaming with like, my kid got accepted to Harvard looks.
We celebrated that too. I mean, we had meetings and everybody got to talk about their successes.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where people were like, hey, I sold 3 policies this week. And we were like, you haven't sold 3 policies in a year. Congratulations.
Here you go, boo. And
right.
It was an awesome thing to see. But I think it's also making your account managers feel like it's a safe place to experiment and try. And if they stumble, they don't have to be perfect in this moment, that they just got to get the words out of your mouth. Right. And if you do it enough, you'd be surprised at how many people say, okay.
And the other thing too is like, we made it a game. It was, how many asks did you have? Like, we don't care about the results at this point, but how many times did you ask? You had 24 renewal calls and you asked 12 times. You asked 50% of the people something, right?
Like it. I like it.
What if you did 75%?
Yeah. And I think too, it's empowering the team with the right training and the right support and making it fun and also giving them an incentive. Can we talk a little bit about account manager incentives for a second?
Yeah.
I know that's not on your blog, but like,
yeah.
And I'm not supposed to be leading this podcast. I'm such a jerk.
You're fine. It's all good.
You can lead my next.
Incentive.
All right.
I think even something simple, like something
immediate gratification.
I've seen all kinds of crazy metrics. Like if you write X, you get 1.27% of the earned premium.
And I'm like, your paycheck once we get paid commissions.
Yeah, once we get paid the commission, 3 months from now, you'll see that on your paycheck.
That umbrella policy you sold is going to net you $6 at some point.
In 90 days.
Only
and it just gets way too complicated. So like starting out, we literally kept it so simple. The CSR team was not licensed. The CSR team got paid $5 every time they asked about another line of business. And they just logged it into the management system. So it was, hey, I see you have your auto with us, but not your home. Do you mind if I ask where your home is? Oh, it's with Carrier Y. Can I have an agent talk to you about that? You might get a multi-policy discount.
Like a tee-up.
Right. And the customer would go, okay. And they'd warm transfer the customer to the agent and be like, Sally's really interested in the homeowner's quote. Can you tell her more? And the agent would be like, what is this? Like, where's this even coming from?
I've talked to her a million times. She didn't talk to me about a homeowner's quote.
She's like, I got my $5. I got my $5. And it wasn't the $5. It was, I'm like, if you do this 5 times a day, that's $25 a day times 5 is 125 times a month. That's an extra $500 in your pocket, right? Yeah, and they were like, oh, so if I ask 5 people a day,
I can get $125 on Friday. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to you.
And they were like,
every Friday, if you ask 6 people.
Well, and that's exactly what we built up. Or it was every time you increase a coverage, you got $5. Every time you wrote a new policy, you got $20. I mean, it was very basic math, but as soon as the agents started getting a win, they were like, oh, like I can make my own paycheck.
Can we talk about something though that is an account manager trait that I always have to kind of inside giggle about? So we have an agency that's really doing great getting people on EFT. Like we started looking at their numbers and like payment calls are killing them. Like, I don't know if it's Southern Hospitality, but everybody wanted to call in and get their payment. So we've been really working on that. With payments come a lot of issues, cash and just all the, like, just there's other ways to do it than free up your time. So, lo and behold, we do everyone's rocking and rolling and account managers can somewhat be a little cynical, right? So I think that they hit their goal. They get 20 people on EFT or pay in full in a month. And by the way, now they're doing that like in the first 2 weeks of the month. So like the ball rolls, right? So for somebody's like, yeah, I got so-and-so on EFT. Then they called Progressive and went back to the other form of payment. I'm like, okay. And she's just like, so do you think this is worth it? I'm like, so for many months in a row, we've gotten 20 people, then 30 people, then 40 people onto EFT. And out of like the last 90 days, say we got like 70 people on EFT. We had one person that called and went back.
Oh my.
He's like, right.
The scandaloso.
So next time she wants to be reshopped, just tell her she can pay in full. But account managers, they sometimes struggle with like the one person that's the snowflake and the this and the odd outball. Like 69 people got on EFT. That's 69 less phone calls for payment every month.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's
So
always one.
yeah, and it's the same thing cross-selling or increases. It's like, well, I talked to Mr. So-and-so and he did not want to bring his auto. Just did you know the file? It's good because we have actually another 893 people we could talk to about their auto. Like, don't worry about the
One
one
person
opportunity.
said
Like,
no.
don't
Let's
worry about
reflect
the
and find out why they said no. Was it something we said or was it them?
yeah, cool. Like, just let it go, right? Like, it's all good in the hood. Everybody's happy. You're happy. We're happy. Make progress. And that's all that anybody can ask. And I think account managers are not used to hearing no a lot. So when they start asking for things, they hear a no, thank you. And it's just like, okay. And so you got to get good about the, well, hey, why you sure you want to say 20%? Oh, actually, yeah, that sounds great. I didn't know what I was saying no to. Thank you for clarifying that. So,
Right. Yes. No, I don't want to save on my insurance.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing that I'll say about the cross-selling on renewal calls, because we're talking all about renewal calls. I think in my professional career, it's like the thing that I'm most proud of that I get agencies to do. Like, it's cool getting their emails down, it's cool getting their tasks down. That makes a huge impact. But like the renewal calls are so hard. And, we have a really good success rate of getting the airplane up in the air. But the reality is, when we start, we don't actually know what we're going to find, right? So the first month is really eye-opening between we have a mess of a book or we have a pretty clean book. It's sort of a little bit of a wild card for a few weeks, right? And when you can get to the end and you see like, hey, everybody's calls are being made and everybody's cross-selling and it's just like a natural thing, it's like my job is done. I'm going to go migrate to the next agency.
Well, and the thing, once they're actually making the renewal call, the number of calls coming in goes way down. Like it takes 6 to 8 months to get to that bump, but
Yeah.
suddenly people aren't calling about anything and everything because they know they're going to hear from you.
Yeah.
Or they already have that
100%.
relationship, or you've been proactive about something. I was going to say it's easier for me to call on an account review for somebody that has 4 policies than it is for me to call 4 people with 1 policy.
Yeah, I agree with that. The cross-selling component is one reason to do renewal reviews. The increases are another. The bump in retention is another. The decrease in upset client calls, the reduction in remarketing is huge.
I tried to solve that and you didn't call me back is my favorite defense.
That is a good one too.
Like, I'm so glad you're calling and upset, but I called you 4 weeks ago and you still haven't returned my call. Is that why you're calling
Let's get
today?
into it. I have my notes right here. Let's
go.
This is
And they're
great.
like, wah.
Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, I think. And I would just empower everybody out there. If you're the senior account manager, you can cross sell. So if you're saying I can't or I'm not a salesperson, I hear that a lot. I want you to think, why? Like maybe you don't want to go cold calling, but helping your customers have success in their insurance is part of everybody's role, right?
Or if you don't want to be the one to sell it, ask about a line of business somebody else in the office sells.
I do like that.
Life,
Like
medical, vision,
commercial, personal.
I mean, flood, maybe there's a flood expert. Just be like, hey, has anybody talked to you about flood? No, let me transfer you over to Victoria. She knows nothing but flood.
I know. I just get sad because I think so few account managers see their full potential and it gets them all tripped up at the end of the day. And I think that they do have so much potential. It's just unpacking it for them.
But I think that once they get comfortable trying something new or they get more, like once they start seeing a result, they start growing quickly. Like it's more like, aha, like I can do this. Look at what I did.
Yeah, I totally agree with that statement. Let's break it down because we have to get you some Dorito pie.
Dorito pie.
We got Dorito pie on the mind, and I have these peanut butter crackers looking at me like square in the face, just saying, come.
We're going on 12 hours. We're getting hangry.
To tell us, number one tip to get account managers to cross sell.
Stop. Don't reshop.
Stop. Don't reshop.
Stop. Don't reshop. I want to make like a little song about that with a music video. Stop. Don't reshop. I think just taking a step back, talking to the client, look at why the rate went up to begin with, and offer the multi-policy discount if it's not already there. If they refuse the discount, then they're not that interested in saving money, right?
I think mine is just do it 10 times without any head trash. Give yourself some grace, just run right in, do it 10 times, and then you're good. Don't worry about it, right? From there. And if you did it 10 times, you'd learn a lot. And you could see you might like it more just getting over the first few times.
And if you don't reshop, you have more free time to do the other things. Like,
Stop,
quote.
don't reshop.
I need to come up with a music video. I'm thinking in my
Are we
head.
gonna TikTok this? What are we doing?
Maybe.
Look at me using the new fango terms that the kids like.
I'm gonna be one of them cool kids with a TikTok.
I heard Snapchat's still like a big thing. So we said that we're Snapchat, and like I never got into Snapchat. I thought that was like one of those things that was here for a minute and then like people died out. But apparently the Snapchats are a big deal.
Wow. Maybe I'll have to snap about that.
This is like the moment, by the way, in the world where I'm like, I feel so old. Like the reels and the TikToks and the Snapchats. There's like
But
a
the
whole
good thing about
ecosystem.
being a little older is we've seen what can change and what can happen with the agency.
You can be like, Steven, I'm going to text message you.
Let me turn my ringer up so I know when you send me the text.
Let me get my flip phone.
It's some pretty cool new flip phones. I can't even lie.
I know.
The new Samsung with the little split screen that folds and lifts, and the cat can take pictures of itself with all the dogs.
I feel like there should be a course or something for how not to become an old person. Like if I could take the old person's like TikTok course, I might, because maybe there's some value. But no one's trying to TikTok me.
I mean, if there's a rascal scooter, I'm in to endorse it.
Every now and again, I'll get on TikTok and I realize 45 minutes of my life go into an oblivion. And I'm not smarter. I'm not stupider. And I've watched a bunch of comedians say some dumb stuff. And I've watched a bunch of people dance in their living room. And I leave feeling raped of my time. Like it's a black hole, man. I don't know where it goes. So I try to stay off of things like that are egregious time sucks. How do you feel? What say you?
What say I? I'm not allowed to get on TikTok because the same thing, like, oops, go down those rabbit holes. But then I get sucked into reels on Facebook because I am old. So I'm on the book.
I like that they're integrated into my platform now.
I'm in the reels and I'm like, oh, what is Susie up to today? Then I'm like, oh. And then it just turns on to the next one and the next one. And I'm like, I have to stop.
So on my reels are a whole bunch of like addiction reels, like going to rehab. And I'm like, and then there's a whole bunch of like pregnancy one of people having babies. I'm like, people, like I push the line on the drinking sometimes, but I don't need to get checked in anywhere. That's reserved for other members of my family. I still have in the Donahue family. I'm still on the good team.
Maybe I need to work on some insurance reels. Make insurance trends. Let's do it.
You know what?
Make insurance sexy.
Based on the meetings that we've just been having about all the opportunity we have, I'm not sure that me getting involved in reels is the best use of my time right now.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do with my free time then.
Speaking of which, go get yourself some Dorito pie. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you so much.
Let us know if we can help you cross-sell insurance and get your team psyched. But there is a little trick, I feel like, to getting account managers to buy in. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes it doesn't always come the best from the agency owner. And it's not your fault. It's like, okay, well, if a fresh perspective comes in, you might get a better shot on it. We don't believe in Post-it notes, so thank you for showing contraband on our time.
We don't believe in Post-it notes unless it's an inspirational message. It should be laminated or tattooed on your forehead.
Would you like to tell the listeners what your Post-it note says so we don't?
My Post-it note says beta tester equals team buy-in. I think as an owner, our biggest struggle is, or as a manager even, the staff listening to you because you're like the broken record. It's like the Charlie Brown, like wah, 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 all day long. But if you can get one or two people to listen and start showing success and have them share their success with others, that's where the buy-in comes at. So you have the beta testers, which is one or two people trying the new thing. Once they get comfortable with it and it's the cool new thing, they share it with all their friends at work. And pretty soon everybody's doing it.
Everybody doing it.
Everybody doing it.
That should be in your video. Everybody in the agency getting cross-selling. No, now I'm really old. Okay, we have to end this before I embarrass myself any further. This is why I can't podcast late at night. Like my brain there's like 3 brain cells working. I have 17 emails to respond to, some tasks to get done, and my life is good.
If we can do it, so can you.
That's right. All right, Steven, we're going to sign off here so you can get your Dorito pie.
Perfect. Bye, guys.